and pray for our defeat. I see smoke on the hot wind shimmer, souls unrestrained in desperate need of a final hellfire to burn the past and set them free. Through the fear, through the heart that's broken, our world lies in wait for me. Every tear, every scar left open. This is the taming of the beast. This war you started. I'll stitch this wound with bloodshed. You are my wicked victory. Draw me to the light. Let the curse be lifted. We can rise above the roar with the bite of every devil we've held before. Drown them out. Let the fog give way to clarity. There is power in the strain of every drop I bleed. I am the venom and the cure. Take me through the fear, through the heart that's broken. Our world lies in wait for me. Every tear, every scar left open. This is the taming of the beast. This war you started. I'll stitch this wound with bloodshed. You are my wicked victory. Victory!
Alrighty, welcome everybody. How are you doing? Hello everybody, how is your day going? Welcome in Panic Light, welcome in Rogue, welcome in Tuna, welcome in Forget, welcome in Soulism, Lamau, this poll, yeah, I'm going 4x4. Last time we had Gladiator and a bunch of 5 stars no one cared about. Welcome in Taxi, welcome in Dave, welcome in Belmont, welcome in Jolly, welcome in Lunas, welcome in Celine, welcome in Rosen, welcome in Woozy Slippers, welcome in Johnny, welcome in Epka, welcome in Sten, welcome in Necron, welcome in Topaz, welcome in Sayo, welcome in Ancient, welcome in Nicht so Sharp, wie geht es dir? Welcome in Soulism, how is everybody going? I've been puking since yesterday. I am so sorry to hear that, man. This PP, shit, you're right, I forgot to put it in my net. Yes, today is a partner push stream. Welcome in, everybody. How is your day going so far? How has your weekend been? I have been drawing Shu. That's basically all I got up to today. I worked out and I drew Shu. Good morning, welcome in, Elb. Lovely to have you. How are you going? Before I forget, let me put on the BGM because I know myself well enough. So let's everyone enjoy some middle finger Tojo. Failure? Yes, sir. I am kind of stupid. Welcome in, Shadow. Is it plush early? Very early. Welcome in, 1999. Lovely to have you. Yeah, to clarify how early the plush is, anyway, I'll get onto that in just a second. How has everybody been? What you been up to? How's things going? Why is that having a stroke? You know what? That's fine. That's not my problem. Here to learn about the archetypes. I will say Archetypes has more archetypes than I thought they did. Mainly in the form of guards. Guards are like 25% of the list. Surprising nobody. Hello, welcome in, Fightmare. Lovely to have you. Will there be a free plushie giveaway today? Yes, there will be. Some fuck-ass tea and sweets? What do you mean by that? Did more than me, I got sick and crashed in class. I'm so sorry to hear that, Lunas. Welcome in, Foxwater. How's your day going? Okay, so, actually no, I should, I always forget. Oh my god, why is my model, what the fuck? Why is this so laggy? Well, you guys are seeing this too, right? Why is it moving so slowly? Okay, there we go. I think we're caught up. I can't think of what's funny to bribe today. Welcome in, Marshu. Lovely to have you. Why would I ever accept a bribe? How dare you slander me like this? But no, I will go through as we're going through and explain what every archetype does generally, as well as specifically. Okay, I'm gonna get the giveaway out of the way relatively soon, because this is really fucking with my model. Hello, you're very cute. Welcome in, Kiari. I disagree. I don't think I'm cute, but thank you. That's very sweet of you. Outside of that, what have I done today? I mean, I drew Shu. I can probably show this one. It's incomplete and shit. So actually, no. Never mind. Let me not show off Shu. Wow, yeah. Holy shit, it really has been an entire day. It's 40 degrees in Australia. So I also had a midday nap. I didn't get Hoshiguma. I'm so sorry to hear that. I hope you're able to snag her at some stage in the future. You're amazingly cute. I disagree. South Slideshow? Yeah. What the fuck is up with that? I'm sad, I don't blame you. Best of luck. I hope you're able to get her eventually. I was supposed to be productive today. To be fair, it is a weekend, but still, I try to be productive on my weekends. You know what? Screw it. Let's start off with the plushie giveaway, and then I will explain everything after. Welcome in, Datha! Welcome in, Lily! Lovely to have you. I miss her. It is what it is. I thought it was my PC. No. I'm gonna get this out of the way. The plushie giveaway is what is causing this to have a stroke. It is taking my entire fucking PC's energy. Welcome in, Boredom King. Welcome in, Neon. Lovely to have you. Yes, if you would like to sign up, please type !play in Twitch. It is really struggling. I like Enfield Alpha Combat, even though... Welcome into my slime. I never played the Alpha. I like Enfield quite a bit as it is, though there are some major problems. I would rate it like a 6 or 7 out of 10. Personally speaking, I think Enfield is a 6 or 7 out of 10, mainly held back by it being a live service. When you can you can clearly tell in the original design it was sort of designed as a Mass Effect style RPG that then evolved into a live service because they wanted to make money. Welcome in, Little Cat Gaming. Lovely to have you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Wait, was I muted that entire time? Did I unmute to blow my nose? Or did I just miss? I'm so sorry about that. The amount of dialogue and reading in that game is quite a lot. Yeah, it's quite something. Welcome in, Dicipta. You missed? Okay, gotcha. Welcome in, Rose. You just missed. I was worried about something. Even though I never played the alpha, I'll make bad reviews for the game. That's fine. Look, everyone's entitled to their own opinions. Not bad of a rating. Yeah, just to clarify, I'm very harsh on ratings. I think people massively overrate things. Like, if you're saying something's a 9 out of 10, like... I would put Elden Ring as an 8 out of 10. I would put Bloodborne as like 8.5 out of 10. Maybe a 9 if I'm feeling really generous. And that's one of my favorite games of all time. It's just, like, no games don't have problems or area where they fucked up. Where's the tier list? I will get to the tier list after. Welcome in, Oddchi. Lovely to have you. Welcome in, Celine. Gibby is unlocked just a week away. Got 150. I already have a skill issue. The cat mate is suffering a stroke. That's why I'm doing the giveaway so early. Having this open is causing this. Okay, so this !play is for a free South plushie. Welcome in, Trish. Lovely to have you. How's the partner push going? Last time failed, but that is the only failure so far. Look, again, I don't expect I don't expect it to succeed, okay? I don't expect the partner push to succeed. You're all absurdly sweet, but please do not worry about it. Like, I really appreciate those who come by to try and support. You do not need to. There's never any expectation of that. My expectation is the partner push will fail. We need 5 more successes over about the next 3.5 weeks. Did we fail a day? Yes, we failed last stream, which is exactly to be expected. Is Twitch on mobile heavy, by the way? I kind of want to download it. It sort of is. Yes, the Twitch app is kind of mobile heavy, unfortunately. I'm joking, I'm a bit sarcastic. No, you're absolutely fine, Slime. It's just I don't really, we haven't spoken enough, you haven't been around enough for me to fully understand your personality to understand your sarcasm. There are some people I can understand their sarcasm instantly because they've been around a lot, but just not fully sure with your methods of typing yet. But welcome in, Archie, welcome in, Trish. What if we thrive, brother? What if the future was so bright? It isn't. Anyway, it looks like everyone has signed up. Oh, Marshu joining last second. Let's get started. Let's see who is going to be today's giveaway winner. Holy shit. Okay. Wow, this is really tanking my frames. Have you played Helldivers 2? I have. It was not necessarily my cup of tea. I did have fun. I just didn't really vibe with it quite as much. I probably wouldn't stream it. Okay, Marshu in a commanding lead, overtaken by Foxwater, overtaken by Neon. Oh, it's all about who can take these corners the tightest. Neon, pretty consistent lead. I can't actually see where anybody is. They keep going invisible, like Solid Snake. Gow. Yes, sir. I recorded myself doing some sound effects at Twitch's request. Let's take a look-see. Neon solidly in the lead. Elpnoa right on his tail. Welcome in, Witches 10. Welcome in, Java. Lovely to have you. Let's see. You're rounding out of the tubes. Neon, Elp, Marshu, top 3. Here come the actual hazards. Here where you can get screwed over. Elp shoots into first place. Very commanding. Could fall off the edge if you're not careful. Comes on into the second tube. You could get held up here. You could get screwed over. And he... Oh, shit. Oh, he gets completely stopped. Foxwater Dicipter back in competition. You could die here. It's not a solid thing. Sten taking the lead out of nowhere. Boost, that doesn't work. Cheat? No, that's not how it goes. Okay, Sten and Rosen and Boredom King tying for third place, coming to the final straightaway. Who gets out of the elevator first? It is Sten. Sten is finished, apparently. What the fuck do you mean Sten's finished? Apparently, there's an ultra-secret immediate end right up here, and Sten managed to clip it. Congratulations! You launched yourself out of that elevator right into here somehow. I have no clue how that happened. You just kind of teleported from halfway to winning. Okay, Sten, please shoot me a DM to claim your plushie, just so I can confirm and jot down your Discord ID. Actually rigged? Yeah, I don't know what happened there. I got no clue, Chief. I don't know, it feels like it was weighted, but I didn't decide what it was weighted to, hard to say. That is fucking tanking my performance. I'm gonna Alt F4 out of that. Ready for correctly object opinion? Yes, sir. Okay. Sten888 plushie winner. Massive congratulations. It's fucking rigged? Yeah, well, I wasn't the one who rigged it. It did that to itself.
It's fucking rigged.
I have no clue, man. I have no clue how or why it did that, but massive congratulations, Sten. Okay, I was correct. My model is now moving absolutely slowly. It was just, my CPU probably needs a restart. Splashcasters are about to sleep. Yeah. Everybody, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you put Splashcasters? Like, we all know Should I make another tier above excellent for Splashcasters? Should I save time now? Hi, South. Welcome in Mystic. Lurk, I must sleep tomorrow. Thanks for coming, Nickton. Hello, South Hard Violence. Welcome in, Reptrin. Lovely to have you. 11, so true. Fun little question, South. What color name opera? What do you mean by that? What do you mean, what color opera? Bottom of the depths of hell? Yeah, do you see how awful is in all caps? Okay, now that we've got my model actually reacting, let me do a proper intro. So, welcome in, everybody. Today, what we are going to be doing is a tier list of every archetype in Arknights. So, I have one operator representing each archetype. For example, Liberator Guard, I've put Mlinar here. Agent Vanguard, I've got Cantabile. They're in order of release, in order of class. There are 2 missing because we don't have any units of that class in EN yet, so I have excluded them. Hydrate? Yes, sir. Welcome in 456. Welcome in LLLL. My Dusk is also built and I can't defend her. Yeah, I want you to know my Dusk is built and I'm a Mystima fan who's liked Mystima since before her module. I'm still going to be as objective as I can. So they're going in bad. What are the two? There is a new type of, I believe it's a specialist. It's like a Skybreaker specialist and a mercenary guard. Oh, if brain damage, you're fine, you're fine. Best archetype is Geek, because Ak can kill Wishadel. That is not true. Okay, so outside of that, here are the little bits of housekeeping I need to do before we start the stream. We are once again continuing finding the community's favorite specialist 4 operators at a time. In the YouTube, there is a poll. Who is your favorite of these 4 specialists? Mizuki, Ethan, Snowsant, and Lee. I'm gonna be so real, much like Gladia last time, this is completely pointless of a poll, and we all know what the answer will be. But if you would like to vote, please head over to YouTube and leave a vote. And if you do, please consider liking the stream. It means a lot to me. It makes me very happy. Welcome in, Jester. Lovely to have you. It's Wrong Heart Violence. Best archetype is Ambusher. Ambushers, I won't get up to them yet. We will rank them. They're pretty solid, though. They're pretty solid. Archer is full of gun users. Absolutely. Ethan already wins. Exactly. 500 stream likes? No. We're not even going to crack like 50. That's just not how this goes. I'm sure Lee can rig it. That checks out. Fling is good. No, they're not. Okay, outside of that, today is also a partner push stream. If you can, no worries at all. Again, I do not think the partner push will succeed. If you can, please consider leaving a tab open on Twitch, as it will massively help me out. Oh, thank you very much, Reptron. But once again, just to clarify, my expectation is the partner push is going to be a miserable failure. So we're already way closer to success than I ever thought we would. We half got it. I voted for Snowsand even though I know it's hopeless. Absolutely it is. Also, sorry, the TTS just did not play. I've not fixed that. Let me see what you said. Let me take a look-see. How about Conviction for co-op? She is funny. YouTube Shillpog, yes sir. Have you considered liking and subscribing? I already hit my goal of 5,000 YouTube subs. Have you considered that we could double hit it? Turns out Archer class really has archers. Yeah, I love the Archer class. You know, the thing defined by their targeting of drones who can't hit drones. Actually, fun fact. Did you know Rosmontus can hit drones? Did you know an unbuffed Rosmontus is capable of damaging and killing drones? A lot of people don't know that. The Archer class truly is made up of archers. Can't wait till we get a 6-star primal for how funny the stats are. I know, right? It's so fucked up. Ascalon's an archer. She can hit drones. Yeah, but to be fair, that is very explicitly a glitch. Marksman? No. I'm talking Rosmontus. Sky Rangers? No. Rosmontus's AoE ignores whether an enemy is flying or not. She can't target flying enemies. But if she attacks a ground enemy while a flyer is nearby, they take splash damage. It's extremely stupid, but it does actually damage aerial units. Just her normal attacks. The AoE splash from her Flinger archetype. Same with Wishadel Echoes. Yes. It absolutely does, and because they can stun, it can actually knock out low-altitude enemies if you get lucky. It's very goofy. Okay, so, the goal today, we're gonna go through either every or most of the archetypes. There is a chance, look, there's a lot of archetypes. There's 65, there is a chance this ends up being a 2-parter. But at the very least, we're gonna go through most of them and rank them top to bottom. Some of these are very self-explanatory, and others I will be going through just in case. To service as an example, I will go through what every archetype does as I rank them before stating my opinions. Starting us off, we have the most basic bitch vanguards. The Pioneer Vanguards. Why isn't Wishadel her own archetype? You joke about that. The real operator who should be her own archetype is Kalzi. Did you know Kalzi is a normal medic? Despite having an extra row of range and summoning monster. She's treated the same as Ansel. I don't get it either. This means Walter has precedence. Yes, she does. Hi, South. Welcome in level 17. Lovely to have you. So, first off, we have Pioneer Vanguards. Here is the trait description of Pioneer Vanguards. Blocks 2 enemies. You might think what defines a Pioneer Vanguard is that their skills produce DP. No. The only defining trait of Pioneer Vanguards is that they block enemies. In fact, there are 2 operators who are Pioneer Vanguards who cannot produce DP. Can anyone guess both of them? Is my internet shitting or are you still stuttering? I'm still stuttering very slightly occasionally. Apologies, that is on my end. Let me actually disable fishing today, see if that smooths it out. That looks to have made it slightly better. They may be basic, but they're the best kind of basic. Yes, they are. I can't recall who it is. It's the Fang archetype. Yes! I'm using one operator of each archetype to represent the archetype. In this case, I'm using Fang. Texas is also this archetype. Vulpus is also this archetype. Yato in the IS guide, yes. Siege, Omegalol. Unfortunately, no. Yato and Skill 3 Siege. No, I mean outright. Reserve up Vanguard cannot generate DP. Neither can Yato. Neither of them can generate DP. However, what they generally have is a good HP pool and good skills that generate a solid amount of DP. I would say they're a exactly average archetype. In my opinion, Pioneer Vanguards is the baseline. It is the exact baseline. They are perfectly functional, and they are probably one of the first archetypes that was ever designed. They're fairly cheap, they generate a good amount of DP, and they have good defensive stats. Only weird ones like Scavenger spec into offense. And then Vulpus, but Vulpus actually succeeds at it. Put it up one tier. I would not consider them great. Keep in mind, Pioneer Vanguards have Texas and Vulpus, but they also have Kestrel. They also have Scavenger. They also have Kiave. So it's more a case of the really good Pioneer Vanguards are good for reasons other than their core kit. Texas is good because she generates DP by being in the team. Vulpus is good because she's a fucking guard who also generates DP. On the one hand, Yato, on the other hand, Vulpus. Exactly. I don't think I built any of those. I'd be surprised if you did. There are a lot who are mediocre, shall we say. Howdy, South. Welcome in, Manga. Lovely to have you. Also, welcome in, Hacker and Weedy. I didn't say hi to any of you yet. A cheap 2-block is always good. Yes, they have inherent value by being a 2-block. They are relatively cheap, they have good defensive stats, and they usually generate good DP. Overall, a very solid archetype, held back by the fact that they don't have any niche. They're just John Vanguard. They are made or broken by how good the individual unit is. They have no real strengths by themselves. Might want to put Broken on the tier list because Myrtle is next after Charger. If necessary, I will. But we'll get, like, if I need to add more, if I think I need to add more categories, I will. Next up is Chargers. Now, can any of you name a Charger outside of Vigna that you actually use for their intended situation? Here is what a Charger does. A Charger Vanguard obtains 1 DP upon defeating an enemy, and when retreated, refunds their full DP cost. They are generally specced towards offense, having high attack stats, and 1 block. However, if you want a high damage 1 block unit, you would have a guard. Their damage sucks. The only good one is Bagpipe, who is an outlier. Also, slightly more recently, Fangulta. Welcome in, Mercantile. I hope you're going well. Vigna is good. Bagpipe is amazing for reasons mainly outside of her core kit. Bagpipe doesn't really fit into Vanguards. She has amazing skills. She doesn't really fit into the Charger archetype. You're not using her because she generates 1 DP on kill. You're using her because she just nukes enemies. Wild main is meta. I'm not crazy. I got bad news for you. I got Twitch. Welcome in, Tuna. Lovely to have you. I'm a Fang Alta believer. I love her. She's so mid. She's good for her archetype. She functions. But keep in mind, this was one of the launch archetypes, and Fang Alta is the only one they've made who doesn't suck and isn't Bagpipe. And Bagpipe is just a ball of sticks. Stats. One thing that will weigh very heavily into the rankings, and I'll use Ulpianus as an example. We'll get to Crushers later, but Ulpianus. Ulpianus is not good because he's a Crusher. He's good because he ignores the core trait of Crushers and does something completely different. Ulpianus fundamentally is not a crusher in terms of gameplay. That is why crushers will be bad, even though Ulpianus is really good. The only good pioneer is Bagpipe, who completely ignores the main gimmick. You're not using her as a DP gen, you're using her as a supporter who happens to also be a guard. I wouldn't consider this actively awful, but this is a very bad archetype, and there's a reason they've kind of fumbled with most of them. Like, this archetype has Granny, this archetype has Plume, this has Reed, this has Wildmane. It is very hard, and it took them 5 years with Fang Ulta to figure out how to make a character of this archetype who doesn't suck. Welcome in, Tamer Gecko. If the module that makes them always DP neutral and retreat, that'd be a lot better. Yes, but not all of them got that. Reed can generate 3 DP per kill, right, with module? Yes, she can. But even then, most Vanguards do not have the stats to kill enough enemies. Most stages don't have enough weak enemies for them to be justified. So it is better to always have someone like Myrtle than to maybe there's one stage where like some Originium slugs spawn and you can generate a lot very quickly. It's that type of tier list. This is a lot better than expected. Yes, I am doing my best to be objective and completely explain my perspective. This is not a unit to unit. For example, another example is Brawlers. The only good brawlers are Mountain and Xiongwa. I love Indra. She's the only actual brawler in that tier list. Xiongwa completely ignores the archetype and basically just becomes a mini Lord Guard. And Mountain completely ignores the archetype by becoming a Centurion. That's because brawlers are inherently bad for reasons I'll get to when I get to brawlers. It is the same here. Vanguards have lower stats than guards, so they are less capable of killing things. And in situations they can kill things, you're not in a danger, so you can save up DP to deploy a guard. Or a different unit who does a lot of other things. Like, realistically, a lot of the time, Fang will do better than Vigna. Even if there's a steady wave of weak enemies, Fang is enough to kill them, and she will out-DP generate Vigna. Case 9001 of being good in a bad archetype? Yes. True charge versus agent, it's a bit weird. Exactly. To be fair, agents are massively overloaded. What the fuck were they thinking? Charges are just a guard substitute? Absolutely, Kuroyuki. But even back in the day, when DP was a major issue, they weren't very good at it. Bagpipe was the only exception because Bagpipe has absurd stats. Bagpipe's stats and multipliers are disgusting. But you don't really use her because she generates DP, you use her because she's a cheap guard. Moved over to Twitch. Welcome in, Gecko! Chargers are better brawlers. I would sort of, in theory, agree with that. But there are reasons I'll get into later. And part of that is just the sheer stats expected of a guard versus a Vanguard. Now, I've said I'm going to be explaining everything. Does a single person need me to explain that? Does anybody need me to to explain what a flag bearer does? Me? Okay, there is one person. So, a flag bearer stops blocking when their skill is active and generates a metric fuckton of DP. Welcome in, Catsilia. So, that is their archetype trait. When they activate a skill, they stop blocking. This sounds like it would be bad, and it's only good because the DP is good. No. Welcome in, Shadow. This is legitimately an excellent trait. In addition, all of the flag bearers are really good units, but this trait is excellent. Part of the problem a lot of long skills that generate DP have over time is that the unit can die. And then you lose your DP generation. Like Beanstalk. I've had that problem where Beanstalk gets sniped by a Patriot Spear or an AoE enemy, and then she's generated no DP. Making yourself block 0 allows you a lot of control over the stage, and it also means you can use them to block easy enemies at the beginning of the stage, and then not have to retreat them when harder ones come. You can activate their skill and let the harder enemies through. Doesn't block, doesn't do damage, worthless, so true. Welcome in, Alexa! Sailor over Myrtle, I would not agree. Welcome in, Gunther. The trait has a downside, not blocking. Yes, but the goal of a Vanguard is not to block enemies, it's to generate DP and let you deploy other units. Characters like a Guard having 0 block, that's a problem. It's not so much in a Vanguard, because they are not spec'd to combat. They're spec'd to getting other units down. And they generate a shit ton of DP. Their standard archetype-wide skills are all really good. Even the worst flag bearer, Wan Qing, is still a top-tier unit. Being a 4-star is why Myrtle's so strong? Yes. You're guaranteed to have max copies of her. The reason Myrtle is, in my opinion, the best is she's the cheapest to level, and everyone has a max pop. And she's the cheapest to deploy. So she is just the most basic, bare bones, good unit. No extra frills to worry about. You just pop her down and she takes care of it for you. Beanstalk waves a flag? No, Beanstalk is a tactician. Imagine not having a buff army for Myrtle to whack Patriot. I remember that one. Flag bearers seem like the most Vanguard. Exactly. Also, welcome in Buga. Flag bearers are the most true form Vanguard. They don't do anything except the core job of a Vanguard, generating DP. That is their only goal. They are not the best Vanguard archetype. Related note, can anybody guess what that is? But they are excellent. Hydrate, yes sir. Elysium only outperforms Myrtle on skill cycle 3 if you frame perfect on uptime. Yeah, people do the math charts, but realistically the actual answer is Myrtle has a self-heal and no extra frills, so she's very easy to use and you don't need to worry about her. She's also very cheap to level. That's it. That's why most people use Myrtle over the others. It's robots, so true. Healing aura for Vanguards is so nice. It is. Myrtle's E2 talent being a Vanguard heal is just fantastic, and it means you can actually use characters like Vigna as a lane holder and they will heal themselves without having to worry about rushing out a medic. Hi, welcome in, Frozen Bonk. Lovely to have you. Now, tacticians. Here is what a tactician does. And this one's actually interesting. Please let me know how many of you were not aware of this. The first half of a tactician's kit is they're a ranged Vanguard who designates a melee tile and summons a unit to block there that can infinitely regenerate. The second part is that if a unit is blocked by that unit, if an enemy is blocked by that unit they summon, they deal 50% more damage. I feel like a lot of people are not aware of that. They get a massive buff to enemies blocked by their reinforcements. Taxes? Yes, sir. Pay your taxes. They should have been specialists? Yes, they're specialists that generate DP. I completely get what you mean. It's part of Vigil's kit? Yeah. It's just one of those things where you don't really notice because most people don't pay too much attention to them. But ultimately, they are very solid. The reason I wouldn't put them in excellent is they don't really fill the role of a Vanguard perfectly. They're generalists, and in games like Arknights, you don't need generalists because you have 12 team slots. It is better to have Myrtle and a good blocker than it is to have a decent blocker who's also decent DP generation. However, they are a good example of jacks of all trades, where they are functional at all of their jobs. They have very high attack speed, they can anti-air roughly as much as an anti-air sniper, they generate about as much DP as a pioneer, and they also have very good ways of stalling enemies. It's just a case of if you really need to stall an enemy, you're not going to go to a Vanguard. So while they're good at a bunch of different things, they don't really have one thing they excel at. Even characters like Nuelsis, who kind of cheat by just copying the stats of another operator outright, up to 5 times, her damage is not comparable to actual dedicated operators because the basic attacks is not what you're there for. You're there for the skills in almost every situation, and she doesn't copy those. They're a good archetype due to being able to block and safe. Yes, they're a very solid archetype. Welcome in, Wise for Life. Mumu saved this archetype. Yeah, think of it this way. Beanstalk was the best of this archetype despite being a 4-star until Muelsis came out. It is hard to balance because the inherent weakness of being a jack of all trades. So while they are generally good and all of them are useful just because they do a lot of different things functionally, they don't really have moments they shine. Part of the reason Beanstalk shines is she can instantly revive her summon. Part of the reason Muelsis shines is she generates shit ton of DP, applies the bind debuff, and then also just does a lot of DPS. Hydrate? Yes, sir. I use Mumu mainly for stalling, but that's not the archetype trait. Exactly. Mumu is good for stalling, and that's sort of inherent to their kit, but it's also not really their intended purpose, and they're a better operate. Like, you would use Muelsis for stalling if you can't use Tragodia. Or if that's a bit of an unfair advantage, maybe you can't use fast redeploys, maybe you can't use a defender. She's not your default option for stalling. There are lots of other characters who specialize at that. She's just a good DPS, good staller, and good debuffer and good DP generation. So it's a case of jack of all trades, but it is better to have a specialist than it is to have a jack. IS is entirely defined by role compression? Yes. And even then, they don't really shine, because it is often better to have other units. Both Black Knight and Vigil can permastall an RA, I'm aware. So can Eunectes. If you're talking RA specifically, Eunectes blows them out of the water. To be fair, for Vanguard's 4 stars are at an unusual advantage, I would agree with that. I overall do agree with that. With the exception of agents. Hello, South. I have 5 minutes to exist before disappearing. Can you put instructors in? Okay, bad. Thanks. Welcome in, Asa. I'm not up to instructors yet, but they will be going in bad. Don't you worry. Basically, instructors are not supporters. Their buffs suck compared to supporters. Why would you use them? It's a bit tricky because the summon needs to be inside the range, not in the corner range. Yes. They need what Ablana has, which is letting them slightly walk in. That's all. High damage stalling, I wouldn't even call them high damage as part of the problem. They're acceptable damage. They're acceptable. So, next up, we have Agent Vanguards. Here is what an... just to clarify, here is what an Agent Vanguard does. They have reduced redeploy time and can use ranged attacks. That is their class trait. The problem with that is that even if they don't have the really good skills that every agent except the 4-star Snegrochka is known for, that's still really good. They're a mobile jack of all trades who's actually just kind of a king of all trades. Like, Cantabile is excellent. Surfer is excellent. Inez is excellent. I wish there were like no range tiles map. It could be made so many classes viable. I know what you're talking about. As someone who plays a lot of RA, you kind of have to be desperate to permastall with Black Knight. I agree. A fast redeploy with range and DP, basically perfect. Yes. Agents are basically... They wanted to make another generalist, and then they just let them do way too much. Like, the fact that they just randomly are also fast redeploys is disgusting. They are stupidly broken. Part of that is their good skills. Just to clarify, it is possible for them to make a bad agent. They somehow managed with Snegrochka. The problem is that even then, she's only okay. Despite having absolutely terrible skills, she's still a fast redeploy ranged unit who generates DP. Gotta leave, we'll catch the VOD. Thanks for coming, Rando Guy. They have good skins too. Yes, but that is unrelated to their performance. I'm judging purely off of performance. Oh, thanks for the follow. Which one is better, Surfer or Cantabile? I would say the better one is Cantabile. Cantabile is by far better. Because Surfer kills enemies slightly faster, and you don't want that to happen because then they stop generating DP. Also, Cantabile has basically permanent uptime invisibility until her skill is used. In terms of convenience, Surfer has higher DPS, Cantabile has high utility. But in this kind of jack of all trades, it's a Vanguard, you're not really looking for DPS. In fact, it's arguable that leveling Inez is a bad thing, because then she just kills enemies too quickly. Hi, welcome in nobody! They're all hot? Yes, they are all hot. Cantabile is outrageously hot. For some reason, I thought they also have full refund on retreat. No, they do not. Hello, welcome in Ivy Moon. Lovely to have you. Surface DP is also front-loaded. Yes, but it's kind of a weird one. It's kind of a weird one. Front-loaded DP is more something you'd want from a flag bearer rather than a DPS unit. Like, Surfer being a DPS with front-loaded DP feels like you're wasting half of her kit. Will you roll for viewers during the upcoming collab? Yes, I generally do a roll stream every event. I repeat, Ina's S2 is higher than Thorn's S3 DPS. Lol, she's so busted. Yeah. Leveling Inez arguably makes her worse as a Vanguard because she just fucking kills everything, and then you don't generate any DP. Does it need a wheel? No, it will be first come, first served. However, signups are not open yet until I put it on my schedule. I love Surfer and IS6 to kill the spawners. She is pretty based. She is better in front DP than Cantabile. I do agree with that, but I consider that a bad thing. Because then the enemy dies and she, because of her DPS, the enemy dies and she stops generating it. How long till Ave Mujica? I apologize, I'm not sure. It's like a month. We should be getting it around Chinese New Year from memory. So, next up, Tacticians. Now, this one is hard to judge. Part of the problem is that Silver Ash Altar is really amazing. But I'm of the opinion, Silver Ash Altar is amazing not because of his class, but entirely unrelated to his class. He just personally is amazing. It's not that the archetype is amazing, he's just awesome. Which is better, Thorns or Thorns Altar? Thorns. So, basically what strategists do is they fuck with the DP cost of your units in the waiting zone. They make units you haven't deployed yet cheaper when they use their talents and skills. In theory, this is as good as DP generation, and in some situations it's better. In practice, this is very complex. And what it means is if you deploy a good unit, you're debuffing them. They can't functionally generate DP if you're using a fast redeploy and it's already on the field. So there are just considerations that make it overall an okay, maybe even bad archetype, and Silver Ash specifically is just really good. Like, Matsukiri is terrible. He is not good. He is not worth using. So I feel like it's really not the archetype, it's just Silver Ash specifically being absolutely loaded. Not only the DP, they also buff units in deployment zone. Yes, but it's very weird. They're another attempt of a jack at all trades and trying to do something new, but it doesn't really land. Welcome in, Wise Girl. Normal Texas QQ, exactly. Is there a female strategist yet? No, there's only Silver Ash and Matsukiri. He might be top 10 hottest male characters, Silver Ash Altar, to each their own. I won't put them in bad yet. It's hard to judge. We'll need to see when more come out. Because Matsukiri is atrocious, Silver Ash Altar is excellent. Thorns Altar is better because he has the potential to explode your game if you use 4 batteries on him. Yeah, same way Reed is the best character in the game. She kills everyone by crashing. Tacticians are strange and fiddly, but they're cool in theory. Yeah, tacticians are better at being role compressors than strategists. Strategists rely on a lot of different situational things. Tacticians can do multiple things, and if that part of their kit isn't relevant, that's completely fine. Tacticians, you need every part of their kit to be working. No, strategists. You need every part of their kit to be working, otherwise they feel atrocious. Silver Ash is just absolutely overloaded. They just wanted him to be strong. And keep in mind, despite Silver Ash arguably being Tragodia level strong, CN started complaining that he wasn't the definitive strongest character in the game. Despite how absurdly good they made him, CN still complained. Are you including Mercenary and Skybreakers? No, I have not played around with Mercenary and Skybreakers yet, so they are not on this list. PC client went, welcome in, Madao. I will say, it is likely happening in the next few months. The PC client is on its way, so I would say soon. Strategists don't have enough to be correctly rated. That's how I feel as well. I'm leaning towards actually being bad as an archetype, but at the same time, Silver Ash Altar. So it depends how they go into it. The crazy Yume shippers were pissed. Exactly, it was funny. They mostly complained before his release. No. They did not just complain before his release. Were they complaining about him being a Vanguard before knowing how broken he was? No, they saw how broken he was and said he's not broken enough. Why is he a Vanguard? There's a Mercenary. Yes, there is. But there's only one, so I can't really rate them. There's only one and they're not on EN. Next up, Dreadnought. Now, does anybody remember any other Dreadnought guards other than Melantha? Be honest with me. You probably think, oh, there's Skadi, right? Yeah, you probably remember Skadi. Anyone remember any others? How many of you have used a Dreadnought in the last year? In the last 365 days. Because there's a lot of them, and all of them are bad. Me? Yeah, you get some use out of them. Also, welcome in PK Knife. Blessing based. So, here is the trait of a Vanguard. Of a Duelist Guard, rather. Blocks one enemy. That's it. That's all they do. So, in Vanguards, having lower block is a good thing, because you have low stats, because you generate DP. The job of a guard is to kill enemies. So not only do these guys not block enemies and not do as much damage as other archetypes, They also don't even have the stats to tank enemies, because they just don't have defense or HP. Skadi specifically. Like, Skadi was one of the worst characters on launch. She was worst for... she was... Basically, the color blue became a meme. Because Skadi, Chen, and Mystima were the worst 6 stars at launch. So, it was the blue ladies. Even though Chen was also considered a delete button, she was generally quite terrible. No, Alter, sometimes to ship 8 units to the map based. Block 1, bad for a guard, have some good performance. Yeah, like, NTR, keep in mind, Nerl the Radiant Knight has true damage and 3 instances of invincibility while also not taking a deployment slot. And she's still pretty bad. She's okay. She's doing her best despite the archetype doing everything to hold her back. Skadi, I love you. Why does your S3 do less DPS than Ulpiana's S2? Because Skadi is a year 1 operator. Wish we had a 3-star that was a 7-star to replace Skadi. Hilarious. False damage till block to be true. Exactly. What do you think of an account that can only use 1 archetype per class? That would be very hard. You'd obviously want to do agents. Also, welcome in Duragana. From Moo research in your search history, you seem to love NTR anyway, South. I don't. I don't watch porn. I don't read NTR. You're just making shit up. Mystima's always been good. I love Mystima. I've always thought she's been good. I will get to... There is an actual legitimate reason why Splashcast... Oh, sorry. Okay, there is a... just a very brief aside. We'll get to them later. Here is the reason Splashcasters are terrible. During Arknights' beta, every defender had 5 block as a standard. The game was much more of a tower defense. Stalling was much more encouraged. So the reason they all feel terrible as Splashcasters is every single one of them originally did 40% more damage, basically minimum, because it was normal to have 4 or 5 grouped up enemies. Now that's not the case. All of the enemy stats got nerfed, so there's no reason to stall them. In fact, you're encouraged not to, because the waves are also changed. And as a result, AoE casters feel atrociously bad, because they do about half the damage that they're supposed to. What's the difference between Crusher and Centurion? We'll get to that, don't worry. So, I think the cost 33 average was a problem. That's also a big problem. But they were supposed to be your piece de resistance once you're set up, and then they could wipe everything. Arknights had a beta? Yes, it did. So, overall, I actually think the Dreadnought class is terrible. I like a lot of Dreadnoughts, but they're guards who don't do much damage, can only block 1 enemy, and have an overall bad stat spread. I get what they were going for, but they completely just whiffed it. Centurions are allowed to have defense? Yeah. It's just a funny overlap. But again, their only trait is having 1 block and high HP. But ultimately, that's just not really useful. You don't want to be burning through HP. You want to be not taking damage by having defenses. It is specifically just with Warfarin, where you want high HP. Outside of that, it's basically always worse. Even against casters, you just have fast redeploys. Wow, holy shit. Yeah, my model is really struggling today. Apologies for that. Beta Calzi was wild. Yeah, Beta Calzi was so fucking stupid. It is absurd how strong Beta Calzi was. Both Chen and Skadi were considered meta for about 2 months after their banner came out. Yes, they weren't on... Skadi was the first ever released character, and Chen came with Chapter 5, neither of which were on launch. It's just they very quickly became bad. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. Next up, Centurions. So, here is what Centurions do. It is phrased wrong, and they've never fixed this. Attack all blocked enemies. It's been 6 years, and they still haven't fixed that. What their actual talent is that they attack enemies equal to their block count. So if they have a block of 3, they can attack 3 enemies at once. I thought Siege was first post-launch. No, she was in the game at launch. Ak was the first specialist since launch, unfortunately. Centurions have 3 block on E2. Yes, so these days, I can see an argument for Centurions to be okay rather than good. However, ultimately, Centurions are just duelists with drastically higher defenses and 3 times the damage. I slept 12 hours last night. Let's go, Centaur! That's awesome, and welcome in. So, overall, there are a lot of pretty solid Centurions. There's Spectre, there's Blaze, there's Gaviel. But there's also Broker, Estelle, and Fuse. So while there are none who really ignore their core mechanic, I would put them in okay. I think back when the game was newer, they were great. They were overall really solid characters, but nowadays we've got so many better ranged options that having a blocker deal damage to 3 DPS is just less useful, especially since they do kind of rely on hitting multiple enemies. Their individual damage kind of sucks, and they struggle versus high defense, so I would personally put them in great. In okay. They're still overall really, really solid units, but you don't realistically bust out a Centurion these days. There are better options. A Centurion got mobbed by Reapers? That they did. A guard with enough block to substitute a defender for blocking, not bad, but you rather use a defender. Exactly. They were basically... It sounds really weird to say that. Welcome in, Chow Lima! Give me ideas for TTRPG dungeon encounter. I don't know, man. You're gonna have to do your best. It sounds really strange to say in modern Arknights. Defenders didn't used to do damage. Hoshiguma S3 was notable for being the best DPS skill on a defender. So if you wanted to have a tanky unit who did damage, you would bust out Hoshiguma's S3. It might sound like I'm shitposting. I'm not. So back in the day, Centurions were really good. Hello, welcome in, Rapid. How's your day going, man? 500 red dragons? Yes, sir. That was a crazy time. Yes, it was. How you going, Rapid? Lovely to have you. With floor block 2? No, 3 block. 4 block is new with modules. Next up, we have Lord Guards. Much like agents, does anybody need me to explain what a Lord Guard does? Does anyone need any justification? So, basically, Lord Guards are ranged guards. They are snipers on melee tiles. They have 2 block. If they're out of range of enemies, they launch ranged attacks. They have an absurdly high stat spread. And every single 6-star Lord Guard is one of the best DPS units in the game. They cast magic light? Yes, they do. Blaze's skill was called a wall hack. It was amazing. It was. Welcome in, Horror. Made it to pushing the P. Look, I think the partner push will fail, but it's lovely to have you. I'll start chiming in when I have subject matter expertise like Art Spider. Please do. Lapland? Yes. Lapland is the face of Lord Guards. Because she was a 5-star who completely removed a game mechanic. All in all, thanks for the follow, sub, Express. Lovely to have you. Frostleaf is total ass? Yes. The reason Frostleaf is ass is not because of her archetype. It is because of her talent, which reduces her attack speed by 25. Lord Guards have an excellent stat spread, 2 block, and very good range. Overall, they are exactly what you want out of a guard. They are just generally good at holding a location and killing shit. They are the definitive guards. And they're not the basic guard, but they are the baseline for guards. Every other guard archetype in your head, you're comparing them to a Lord Guard. One last thing, Chobai is sneakier blast, absolutely. Oh, thanks for the follow, Rapid. Lovely to have you. They're called Lords because they're king of the DPS. It is crazy how much they've held up. Keep in mind that for about 3 years of the game, Thorns was the definitive best operator in the game. Doing mine for the tick push? Oh, thank you. That's very sweet. Again, I don't think we're going to succeed, but thank you. Why is Strategist below Pioneer? Because it's hard to rank Strategists. I think overall, messing around with DP costs and buffing undeployed operators is actually worse than just generating DP for the majority of players in the majority of situations. These days, Thor's bad, clueless. Have you tried his new module? Anyway, now, next up, we have an Arts Fighter. Here is what an arts fighter is defined as. Deals arts damage. That's it. They are one-block guards who do arts damage. The problem with this is that casters exist. And also, their stats suck. They're dreadnoughts that do arts? Yeah. They have roughly the same stat spread as dreadnoughts, but a lower HP stat, and do arts damage. Here is an example of how bad arts fighters are. Surtur has functional immortality and ignores 20 res. And 5 X's her attack stat. That is what it took for an arts guard to be good. As a whole, in my opinion, they are so far the worst archetype on the tier list. Total arse besides Surtur? No. Viviana with her new module is kind of fire, but that is despite her archetype, not because of it. The archetype as a whole is flawed. If you want arts DPS, you grab a caster, you don't grab a guard. Most of the time, if an enemy has high defense, enough that you're justifying using an arts DPS, you can't afford to block them. It is a big problem to have your arts DPS be squishy melee units. They just die and do nothing. Arts fighters are superb options for your damage needs. Yeah, definitely. Surtur's module is 26 res 2. She can double her arts damage against all 75 res bosses and elites. I know, it's absolutely absurd. Another good example of this is Ifrit. For a long time, everyone thought blast casters were an amazing archetype. And then they released a second blast caster. And we realized, no, it was just Ifrit. I wouldn't put them by worst. Worst so far. Worst so far. Overall, they do arts damage, but they have low stats. So they're not really useful against most high defense enemies. Colosseum is not one of God's creations. Exactly. Instructors are a good archetype, but all instructors suck ass. No. Swire and Whislash are both really good instructors. They fill their niche excellently. That is what instructors were built for. The problem is, instructors fucking suck. I like Guard Amir overall. Yes, Guard Amir is a bit of an exception. They tried to circumvent the squishy issue since all arts fighters have some defensive ability in their kit. Yeah, but they still fucking die. So, here is what an instructor guard does. Can attack enemies from range. When attacking enemies not blocked by yourself, increase damage by 20%. In addition, instructors have buffs as their primary skills. That is not part of their trait, but that is something unique to them. Overall, the problem is, you don't want a half DPS, half buffer. You want a DPS and a buffer. You don't want your buffer getting in fights and dying. It is better to use Warfarin to buff an actual ally properly than to give your 3 stars 100 extra attack. Or to give your entire team 12 attack speed. Or to give nearby operators 20 attack, which is decent, but has terrible uptime, and Swire needs to be fighting to do it. They're buffed on a melee DPS class? Yes, and that's interesting, but it is not good. They are melee buffers who want to be ranged DPSs and also have bad range because they're melee units. Hydrate? Yes, sir! Do all of them suck? Yes, all of them suck. Palace's claim to fame was her DPS, not her buff. Welcome in, Blackbow. Inez is a better instructor than any instructor guard, yes. Also, to be fair, Doberman's buff is actually insane. It's just on the 3 stars. So, in my opinion, they are actually worse than Dreadnoughts and Arts Fighters. Basically, the reason for this opinion, the archetype itself stops them from being good. I would be very surprised if there was ever a good instructor. Dreadnoughts and Arts Fighters can get around their archetype restrictions because they're DPS units. But the archetype of an instructor is a half buffer, half DPS. And that is just something that will never realistically be useful for the majority of situations, regardless of how good it is. because they can never buff as strong as a dedicated supporter, and they will never out DPS a proper DPS. They're a weird jack of all trades, but these are two major roles. Like, you can't be a half DPS and expect to get used when you don't really bring much else to the table. No one else remembers the GOAT doc? I do remember the GOAT doc. I think the next Sway will be an instructor. Even if they made the Sway an instructor, it would be the worst Sway, including Nyan. Putting them on range tiles is fun. I agree. They're a fun archetype. But overall, the archetype itself is flawed because they're trying to go halfway between a DPS and a buffer, and as a result, they fail at both because DPSs are incredibly competitive, and most actual DPSs are better than a half DPS who buffs other DPSs. It's a sub DPS, yes, but Arknights doesn't lean itself well to sub DPSs. We have too many options. It is better to have Wishadel and Degenbrecher than it is to have Degenbrecher being buffed by Swire. Or it is better to have Degenbrecher and Mlinar alternating between DPSing down the lane than it is to have Degenbrecher buffed by Swire. She does not have enough DPS to be competitive, and her buff is not competitive either. Those are bold words. Could you have imagined a strong Flinger before Wishadel? Yeah, so part of the problem with the archetype of a Flinger, and we'll get to that when we get to them. Actually, no. I'll get to that right now, because Brawlers. Welcome in, Cozy. Here is the problem with Brawlers. The way defense is calculated completely fucks them over. With physical damage, you want to hit slowly and hard more than you want to hit quick and lightly, because that means you get completely fucked over by even the slightest defense. As a result, the only way to make a good Brawler is to completely ignore the archetype restrictions, or just buff them to an absurd degree. Why is Arts Guard so low? They're an Arts DPS with no range who has to be in melee. A good Brawler skips being a Brawler. Exactly. They're meant for early lane holding. They are. But even then, they sucked at it. And I'm not talking modern day sucked at it. I mean back in the day, they still sucked at it. Because if you want an early game lane holder, you have an on DP kill Vanguard. A lot of the gap between a Vanguard holding a lane and a Brawler holding a lane is not that large. And unlike the Brawlers, the Vanguards offer something to your wider team. Dagda, the reason I chose Dagda, she is the only Brawler whose kit actually works as a Brawler. Xianghua and Mountain are not Brawlers. Mountain is a Centurion Guard. His entire gimmick is giving him 2 block and a self-heal. That is completely unrelated to the goal of a Brawler. Or rather, a Fighter is their official name. Which, by the way, their talent is blocks one enemy and attacks very quickly, but has low attack. It is an inherently flawed archetype because physical attackers with low attack are bad. A good Brawler needs to be broken levels of defense shred or just have a broken kit. Exactly. The only real way to make a good Brawler is to get them around being a Brawler. Like, the reason Dagda's good is she just buffs herself and hits really hard. Which Mountain skill should I prefer? Absolutely S2. Xianghua is a Lord Brawler? Yes. Xianghua is basically a Lord Guard with slightly different range. Mountain is 2 Brawlers and a Trenchcoat? Yes, he is. Artificers, Overcrept Instructors? Yes, and I still don't think they're good, but they are. They are better. They are better. Theoretical true damage Brawler could work? Yes, but they're not a true damage class. That would be an individual character. The archetype is... This is what defines the archetype of a Brawler. 1 block, low attack, physical damage. Those are the inherent traits of a Brawler. And that is a bad combination that sounded cool in theory and was executed poorly. I believe Brawlers are just worse versions of Arts Guards and Dreadnoughts. Realistically, the only advantage they have is being cheap, but the gap in performance is absurd. Every single Dreadnought will outperform a Brawler in 1v1 situations, outside of incredibly fringe hit count enemies where you want the high attack speed. The overwhelming majority of times, Brawlers are just not worth bringing. Their kit just has a fundamental issue that they can't really get around. Like, Indra did arts damage as her skills, and she still sucked. Hydrate? Yes, sir. What about a Brawler who does absolute damage? Would that work? Yes. If a Brawler did true damage, they would be solid. But that is ignoring, a third of their kit. Already, that is ignoring parts of their kits, and that only slightly improves it. The only way to make a Brawler good is to ignore parts of their kit, because Just high attack speed, low attack is just worse than high attack, low attack speed. In almost every situation. There are some fringe ones, but almost. Hello, welcome in Ryuzaki. Indra Slander, I like Indra. I have her leveled. Almost everything around everything south hates dating these tier list streams. What do you mean by that? Punching is weaker than you think. Exactly. Do you know her single attack counts as 2 instances? Yes. And it gets around defense in a weird way. Aren't instructors stronger than brawler? No. The reason for this is that brawlers are still DPSs. They still spec into killing shit. A bad brawler will still kill enemies. A bad instructor doesn't. Brawlers will never get true damage because it's a damage type that absolves the weakness. Exactly. These characters in the awful category that are really strong, to be honest, it's the archetype is bad. Yes! It is, we are ranking the archetype, not the characters. Serta, for example, is amazing. Welcome in, Liu! Can I ask who is Snow Sand in the poll? Never heard of him or her. She is a 5-star welfare puller. She is quite terrible. DP cost is a consideration? Yes. Brawlers are very cheap. And they do solid damage and can almost always kill the early game enemies. That is why they're better than instructors who can't say the same. I would use a brawler more than I would use an instructor. I'm back. Welcome back, Sten. Now, next up, we have Swordmasters. Here is how a Swordmaster is defined. Normal attacks deal 2 instances of damage. They have below average attack. In a way, Dual Strike Guards or Swordmasters are just slightly more expensive brawlers with less bad attack and 2 block. But the less bad attack is incredibly important. The gap between brawlers and Swordmasters is absurd, and overall, the majority of Swordmasters are very good. Cutter is excellent despite having 4-star stats. Tachanka is kind of a unique situation. Chen and Bibik are both excellent. Overall, 2-block guards are just kind of good because they usually, almost always, have the stats to survive being a 2-block guard and also just do good damage. You're gonna put my wife on the list, right? No, I did not use Chentor to summarize the archetype. Wait, actually, I think I missed the archetype. Shit, what the fuck was I doing? I missed the archetype. Okay, when we get to snipers, remind me. I somehow missed spread shooters. I actually fucking missed it. Oh, I'm so stupid. It's almost 2 a.m. I'll catch the VOD. Thanks for coming. Sleep well. Fun fact, Swordmasters half their attack and apply the defense calculation twice. Yes. But it's okay. It's okay because they have enough stats that they kind of get away with it, despite it being kind of terrible. Like, now, what is very funny is up until Dagenbrecher, Swordmasters were also defined by having offensive recovery as a major drawback. So, in my opinion, Dagenbrecher doesn't really count as a Swordmaster. One good unit does not an archetype make? No. Overall, I would say the archetype as a whole is good. I would not say they're great, I would say overall they're good. They've held up better than Centurions. They have good burst damage. 2 block is always useful. And just generally, they're a discount version of Brawlers where they actually have enough attack to do what they're hoping to. Irene is very fun to play in IS. Yes, she is. They also have skills that ignore armor. That is not part of their trait. That is character to character. Not all of them do. 2-hit Lamau. Yeah. No, offensive coverage can count twice. Can. Not all of them, but I know it does for Cutter. You also missed Deadeye. Look, I may be stupid. IS Arcado Gobert? Yes, sir. Please do remind me of Deadeyes. I may be stupid. I fucked up on the snipers. I am built different. Parentheses, I got dropped headfirst into the penguin enclosure. And heavy shooter? Yeah, look, let's not worry about that. We're not on snipers yet. Welcome in, Chronology. Lovely to have you. Now, next up, we have Solo Blades. Salutations, how you going? Here is what a Solo Blade does. Cannot be healed, and on hit, heals 30, 50, or 70 HP, depending on how high their HP is. The problem with this... Are we ranking the archetype or the operators? We're ranking the archetype. Here is a good example. Zula is a great character. he is realistically not a solo blade. The reason Zula is good is he just shits out so much fucking damage from his multipliers and self-SP buffs that everything dies. He is not a solo blade. He is a Lord Guard. Oh, depending on the elite level. Yeah, you're right. They just also have other traits based on their HP. That's what I'm confusing it with. He's a Juggernaut. He is the Juggernaut, bitch. Realistically, outside of Zula, the rest of them, their weakness really shows. Heliga, Archefuyu, Noircorn, and Utage. As an archetype, solo blades kind of suck because they are hard limited in what content they can participate in because they can't be healed and can only heal themselves. Meaning if enemies have defense, they're fucked. If enemies hit hard but slow, they're probably also fucked. They are literal stat check units, and the only one of them who's good is Zula, who just... his damage is disgusting. He's a stat check that works, but they're inherently stat checks. And usually they lose the matchup. Noircorn is pretty nice. He's not awful. Can't be healed. Hello, Sculptor and Shu. Yes, Shu is a special child. At least they're kind of cool. They're incredibly cool. They're incredibly cool. His S2 can lane hold with one block. Yes. Zula shits out so much damage that enemies don't even reach him. That is why he doesn't count. I thought he sucked because he was a solo blade, so I never used it. Exactly. The inherent belief is that, oh, it's a solo blade operator. It's terrible. It's the same thing happened with Ascalon. People saw the archetype and thought it's terrible. Zula specifically is really good. The archetype as a whole is bad. They are hard stat gated by enemies. You cannot heal them, so you can't really plan around it. Realistically, you can't heal them. They just get stat checked. They're also physical damage, which means they can't really deal with elites or bosses. But at the same time, they're one block, so most of them can't really deal with waves of enemies either. So just the way the game is designed, they very rarely get a chance to showcase themselves. Outside of Zula, who just insta-kills everything forever. Putting Heliger against a Hateful Avenger looked so cool. It does. I used him in I6 monthly operator thing and realized how strong he is. Yeah, he's disgusting. Hi. Welcome in, Choo Choo. Lovely to have you. Welcome in, Nathan. I'm so happy Beanstalk has her own tier. There will be other characters and great, don't you worry. Now, for example, and this might be a controversial opinion, Liberator Guards. I do not believe Liberator Guards are excellent. I believe they go in the Beanstalk tier. Here is why. Here is what a Liberator Guard does. Normally doesn't attack and has 0 block. When their skill is inactive, they gradually build up a massive buff over 40 seconds. This buff resets when the skill ends. They are not good because of their archetype. They are good because Mlinar and Lazy have such absurd multipliers. Mlinar is able to just ignore 3,000 defense. He was useful in pinch out with maxed out enemy defense. That is not normal. Liberator is excellent for 6 stars and terrible for 5 stars. Yes, because they are defined by their multipliers, not their archetype. The only reason Tequila's okay, but only okay. He's passable. But the weakness of your guard usually not blocking is just too much, especially because they don't normally attack. Ambushes have inherent use case of having 0 block. Liberators don't. It is a weakness. It is a weakness for Liberators, and it is a strength for ambushes. What do they do? Better swing than Silver Ash? Yes. But for most of the fight, they do nothing. They're good, but they have a main weakness and a role. Exactly. They have a main weakness that runs contrary to their role as a guard. I recently got Mlinar, putting him in the corner and forgetting to proc his skill as standard gameplay experience. Exactly. Mlinar also does true damage. Yeah, he's very stupid. Good night, everybody. Thanks for coming, Datha. Sleep well. Windscoot's good too. Windscoot is okay. They're not terrible. I'm not saying they're bad. The archetype as a whole, they're guards who hit really hard. The problem is, 0 block is a major downside that you need to plan around. Do not ever speak of pinch out again. I'm still traumatized. Understandable. Mlinar with mod shits out more damage than Wishadel. Yeah, it's crazy. Much like Zhula, they just kind of shit out damage. But at least, unlike Zhula, this is inherent to their archetype rather than just Zhula being Zhula. What's Pinch Out? Don't worry about it. A one-off game mode that sucked. The only use case for Windscote is so you can get that use case for him in IS6 where you need 2 Yan operators. That's tragic. But no, overall I think they're good. I don't think they're excellent. They have a distinct downside. Flag Bearers don't have a downside. They have 0 block in your control. When you activate their skill, they won't block. And they generate DP, meaning you can deploy someone behind them with the DP they're generating. Mlynar is a guard who doesn't block and leaks enemies if you're not paying attention. That is the archetype. It is a debuff for them, whereas for ambushers and flag bearers, it is a buff and something you can work around and something that makes them better at their core job. The core job of a guard is holding things in place and killing them, and they can only do one of those two. Liberators are well designed, they have positives and downsides. I agree. Mlynar was way too strong. But they do have positives and downsides. Another player who doesn't know how good Mlynar Taunt is SMH. I know how good it is, but that is not inherent to the class. Tequila also has a damage reflect skill, but he doesn't have a taunt. Mlynar specifically having a taunt doesn't apply it to the class. That would be like saying, every brawler does arts damage because Indra does. No, that is unique to Indra. That is something that makes Mlynar specifically really, really good. That is not a class trait. Save my ass versus the Pepe event drones? Absolutely. When do we get to bribe Mlynar into awful? If you want to bribe me, go for it, but don't. Be responsible with your money. On paper, Reapers are kind of a complete upgrade over Solar Blades. Yes, I would say they are. So, Reapers. I only thought Lazy doesn't have a reflect damage. No, I'm talking taunt. Tequila has reflect damage, he just doesn't taunt. So, here is what Reapers do. Much like Solo Blades, they can't be healed by allies. However, they do true AoE damage and can heal 50 HP for every enemy hit up to their block count. So their healing is capped at 100 per swing, but they have true AoE damage and are just better versions of Solo Blades. Just outright better. They have a better stat spread, they have 2 block, they're more suited to waves of enemies. The problem Solo Blades have is Solo Blades get stat checked by bosses and are bad versus waves of enemies. Reapers are Solo Blades who specialize in killing waves of enemies, and you wouldn't put them anywhere near a boss. As a result, they have a clear, defined use case that they are very good at. Every single Reaper is good as a 2-block guard. They will usually heal themselves, and they will usually kill all of the fodder that goes their way. I don't like Reapers very much. They're very boring characters. They all do the same thing. Can't be healed. It is a definitive downside. However, Reapers will generally keep themselves alive against waves of mob enemies. Solo Blades can do so, but they struggle to kill them in time. The true AoE also gets absurd, and means if you want to use them as a sub-DPS, they're actually very, very good at it. I'm using Mudrock and La Pluma, so I keep using Perfume and Paste. Thanks for coming, Dat Noob. Have a lovely day. Guards with self-heal AoE, they have a role and they do it fantastically. Yes. Basically, Solo Blades would be good if they'd spec'd more into boss killing, but they do not have the stats to do so. Even Zula kind of struggles against bosses. But 2-block guards are inherently more about waves of enemies, and that is something that Reapers can absolutely deal with. They're just Solo Blades with a definitive niche, rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. They're cool as hell and definitely better than Mushas, exactly. Enchilada's probably my fave because their S2 and new mod is great. Enchilada's very fun. Rose Salt also buffs the healing. Yes, other buffs do work on them. Welcome in, Luma Lily. They're lane holders? Yes, they are lane holders. They specialize in holding lanes. That is a defined strength, and that is what they're spec'd towards. And every single part of their kit works towards that, except their inability to be healed by medics, which is made up for in the way by them healing themselves. So you want them to be independent units. Next up, here is the definitive example of what I mean when I say I'm ranking an archetype rather than a unit. Here is what a Crusher Guard does. Attacks all blocked enemies, so basically they're mini Centurions, and sets own defense to 0. Welcome in Blanked, welcome in Warzone. Crushers are Centurion guards with less block and no defense. Also, they attack slower. Centurions, but worse? Yes. Centurions, but worse. Mato Imaro is always skilled. No, Mato Imaro is not even a clone. Oh, gosh. The best example of why Crushers are the worst archetype so far by a large margin is that the way Ulpianus became good is having defense but better. Ulpianus functionally has 300 defense, but if you don't do enough damage, it heals him instead. He just has a better version of defense. They have higher HP to make up for the defense. Yeah, it means healers can't heal him, exactly. Great, you need War for an S1, otherwise no one can touch their HP bar. How convenient. You've limited yourself massively. They ignore defense reduction. Yes, they do, by not having defense in the first place. To put it in perspective, normal Exousier is still a top tier DPS if you use defense reduction. Do you think if Crusher Guards have high res, will that fix it? No. Not at all. High HP, high res DPSs who specialize in killing casters are not useful for general content. Hodora and Ulpianus need their talents and fantastic skills. Yeah, they're good despite their archetype, not because of it. The archetype as a whole is discount Centurion, but worse in every way. They have less block, they do less damage, they attack slower, and they take more damage. Crushers take the worst parts of Centurions and Dreadnoughts. Yeah, they really do. They're all in damage dealers. Yeah, but the problem with that is that they don't do enough damage.
Give me money.
They're all in damage divas who suck. Welcome in, Marshu. Lovely to have you. How funny that 2 buff men have fewer blocks than 2 ladies. Exactly. He is near 5k HP in his BS. It is. Crushers are good if you need an HP tank. Sometimes a normal tank isn't enough. Name me one situation where even Ulpianus is a better tank than Hoshiguma Alta with her skill active. Genuine question. Genuine question. They should swap their HP number with attack? Yeah, then they'd at least be a glass cannon and have a defined use. Okay, next up, Earthshakers. I used Pepe. Most people don't know fuck all about this archetype, in my experience. So here is what they do, which I expect nobody to know. They are Dreadnoughts who deal 50% of their attack as AoE. So, let that sink in. They're just, to be fair, they do have 2 block. They are just standard 2 block guards who do a tiny bit of AoE damage. They have similar stat spreads to Dreadnoughts, but as a result, they just fucking suck. It's discount Centurion. Yeah. Once again, it is discount Centurion. It is a halfway point between a Centurion and a Reaper. But it's not like halfway in terms of how good it is. It tries to be both and it fails at both. In my opinion, they are okay. At the end of the day, they're guards with decent stats. They have good attack, and they do splash damage. But they are like the bottom of okay. Petition to replace Sentinel Protector Defender Representative with Blitz. No. Yet another type of this archetype could have been an email. Unironically, yes. They're just a halfway point between Reapers and Centurions, where they have 2 block that do slight AoE damage. That's it. They are just worse than both of them in any situation. Name any situation where Hoshiguma Ultra is not the legit best ground unit to tank and damage everything. Yeah, exactly. Welcome in, Vistosia. Lovely to have you. So, while we're on the topic of 2 block guards, primal guards. Aren't Dreadnoughts the second highest in terms of stat guards, only behind Crushers? Yes, and they put all of that into HP. They are squishy as shit. Now, a lot of you might be thinking, South, how the fuck can you rank primal guards when there's only one and it's Gracebearer? Here is how you can rank primal guards. Their entire gimmick is that they inflict elemental damage when they're attacking. And it's really bad. Despite that, Gracebearer, a 5-star, is a competitive top-tier DPS. Because I don't know what the fuck they were smoking when they designed the stat spread of Primal Guards. But they went a little bit crazy. They went a little bit loco. So even though they apply elemental damage so badly, the enemy will die before it procs, they are just absurd stat sticks. They are modern day mud rocks, but cheaper. As an archetype, this archetype is excellent because despite, in theory, if they're ever good at applying elemental damage, they do true damage. And even if they suck at that, they do so much fucking damage, they might as well. They fail at their purpose, yes. But their core purpose as a guard is to deal with enemies. And they have absurd, disgusting stats. Welcome in, our son. Grace kind of applies it badly. I don't think we can judge him. Yeah, I can see a world where they apply it better. But what I'm saying is, Gracebearer is terrible at being a primal guard, and she is still an excellent unit. Arguably, like, top 5 stars in the game. Laughs and stats? Unironically, yes. Much like way back when Blaze would just stat check every enemy in the game, Gracebearer just does that now. Suffering from success? Exactly. Insta-win when it's a 2-block guard with damage? Yeah, it's just... Basically, they are Earthshaker guards, except with much higher stats. Hydrate? Yes, sir. They're failing upwards? Yes. It is very goofy that Gracebearer is a terrible primal guard, but an amazing guard despite that. So the archetype as a whole is good, because even if it doesn't achieve what it was going for, they're just balls of stats that kill everything. Now, give it a few years. If Gracebearer is the only primal guard, she'll go down, the archetype will be terrible. Because ultimately, they will eventually get stat crept. They do not apply elemental damage well enough, and all of their debuffs are weird and interact with it weirdly. But ultimately, they're just guards with absurdly high stats. So for now, they are incredibly strong. Her S1 is not ideal. If we get offensive recovery, that would be Fog. They stole stats from all of the awful guards and gave it to Gracebearer. They really did. Like, it is hard to describe how good their stats are. If any other archetype of guard had this kind of stat spread, they would also be really good. It is just raw stats. It is disgusting. So yeah, eventually, because they're physical damage and they're about raw stats, they will eventually become bad, but that's gonna be a little while out. Next up, we are up to defenders. First up, we have your basic bitch defender, also known as a protector defender. You want to know what their trait is? Blocks 3 enemies. For anyone who thinks I was kidding when I said that the game used to not have defenders do DPS, that's why. That is what a defender was. They were a unit with no attack, high HP, good stats, and block 3 enemies. However, they usually don't have res. This is the most okay archetype of all time. It is fine. They are just tanks. It is exactly what you want out of a defender. It is John Defender. It is John video game. You will never be disappointed with a protector defender, but you will also never be surprised. It is just the basic bitch defensive character. John Arknights, unironically, yes. The only super notable protector was Hoshiguma, who is a special child, but there's also, like, even Noir Corn is pretty tanky, and he's a 2-star. It's similar to Gracebearer, they're just stat sticks, except they're defense-oriented, which makes them drastically worse. Hoshi was okay DPS, it's crazy to think, but yes, she was. It is what it is, Defender, exactly. Back when class traits were just stats, absolutely. They predate classes, so that's why. Mod gives them 4 block, but not all of them have that. Well, oh, thanks to the sub, who is this guy? And yeah, they used to have 5 block, and they got nerfed before the release. Next up, we have Guardian Defenders. Guardian Defenders are defined as can heal allies by using their skill. A bit unrelated, but the prescripts told me to do a temple and I got Vulpes based. Is she worth using when I already got Inez? Yes. Now your vanguards are Inez and Vulpes. That's it. The most special protector is Nyan because you managed to do arts damage uniquely. Yes, but it's not very good arts damage. So, to put it in perspective, and to really explain Guardian Defenders. When the game came out, the best 3 characters were Saria S1, Saria S2, and Saria S3. Modern day, it is very arguable that Shi is top 5 characters in the game. And she is just Saria, but slightly stronger. They are basically just exactly as tanky as normal defenders, and also a medic. Realistically, this is not a jack of all trades, this is 2 for 1. You get a defender who is also a medic. It is very rare for them to not have enough stats to face tank an enemy. They're less tanky, they do have lower stats as a whole, but it is legitimately very rare for there to be enemies that normal defenders can tank that they can't at high levels. Not to mention Saria kind of hits hard. Yeah, that's the Saria thing, that's not the Archetype. The Archetype does have a weakness of being less tanky, but they're functionally immune to chip damage, which means in lower tempo lanes, they substitute as a defender and as your main blocker. So they are able to fill 2 of the main roles of the game by themselves simultaneously. And it's a very common role. Put it in awful for super? No. I don't know why Blemmy has an extra square to hit enemies, because she predates Archetypes. Same as Kalzi. Sorry, it's the only one I use. I also have Shi. Well, all of them are good. Gummy is... Okay, Senshi is bad. Hung is also bad, but that's more a case if they have absolutely atrocious stats. The rest of them are good. You've got Saria, Nerl, Gummy, Blemishine, Bassline, and Spot. And then, of course, you have Shi as well. Saria has a unique place as an arts debuffer package with crowd control. Yes, but that is not the Archetype. The Archetype is not the debuffs. That is Saria and Shi. But overall, the reason I think they're excellent is in most situations, for most people, they are just a defender and a medic simultaneously. Just both at once. It is not a case of a jack of all trades trying to be good at multiple different things. No, they are just 2 different things. It is like how Bagpipe is just a guard who is also like a vanguard. She's just both of those at once. That's a bad example because Bagpipe doesn't actually generate DP. But no, they are just the ultimate example of stat sticks. They just do 2 jobs simultaneously. Saria 2 can allow you, Saria S2 can allow you more DPS slots. Yeah, but that's very, very fringe. Protectors, if they can heal, absolutely. They're a good middle ground. They're not even a middle ground. They're barely less tanky than protectors and usually out-heal most medics. In exchange for having worse range. They're just overall absurd. Next up, we have Juggernaut Defenders. Juggernaut Defenders, when the game came out, were good. They are Mushas that are defensively oriented. So, they are just raw stat sticks. They are blobs of stats that you hope kill the enemy. Over the course of the last few years, it has now reached a stage where they are worthless. If you try using Mudrock in Arto, every single normal enemy will just kill her. She cannot damage them. They are just raw stats, and as a result, they've been left behind slowly by power creep. Overall, it has the same problem as Solo Blades, where it's just slightly more useful, because they can still usually function as a defender for longer than a Solo Blade can function as a guard, and in more situations, since the point of a defender is to just survive. But these days, they do very little damage outside of Penance with her 400% attack buff, and Reflect. And that is mainly just Penance being absolutely fucking loaded. They just have fallen off over time. Gracebearer eventually will as well. That archetype eventually will as well. But these were very early archetypes in the game who've had 5 to 6 years to be gradually stat crept. They were good early on. They've aged very badly. Exactly. Vulcan was the only Juggernaut at launch, and she was always weird. It's expensive as fuck. Yes, they're very expensive to deploy, and they're just not worth the DP cost these days. They have good stats, but overall, there are better units. Even with Penance, if the maps don't have enough weak enemies, she still dies. Exactly. They have just, over time, started dying to weaker and weaker enemies, to the point where them not being able to be healed, they're no longer worth it. It's too much of a drawback. It makes them just not worth bringing. Ablana's the best Juggernaut. I'm actually kind of with you. Next up, we have Arts Defenders. Here is the trait of an Arts Defender. Normal attack, deal arts damage when the skill is active. Is Vulcan worse than Mud? Massively. Hydrate? Yes, sir. Not weaker enemies, but the baseline has grown so much. That's what I'm talking about. Awful? Yes. So, I really love Arts Protector as an archetype. Arts Protectors are quote-unquote DPSs who do no damage, and res tanks who have no HP. They fucking suck. They can't tank anything, they're squishy as shit, and they do no damage. They are absolutely atrociously bad, worse than Arts Guards. They're an offense-oriented defender with no attack stat. Hoshiguma is not an Arts Defender. She's not an Arts Protector. She is Surta, but AoE, with the stats of normal Hoshiguma. She does not count. She is a prime, definitive example of the reason she's good is she completely ignores all of the drawbacks and traits of the archetype. She has absurd multipliers that make up for her relatively low attack, and she has absurd defensive skills, including outright invincibility, that make up for the fact that they generally have lower defenses. Tanky Oni, absolutely. She's a mush-up, basically. Hoshiguma's Hoshiguma, exactly. Surta 2.0. People say that as a joke, but no, Hoshiguma's arts damage is actually higher than Surta's. This is a case of one outlier does not set the norm in the same way Crushers. It doesn't matter how good specifically Ulpianus is, Crushers are terrible. It is very similar with Hoshiguma, it's just at the end of the day, they're a 3-block defender, so even if they're bad at it, they can fill their core role. It's slightly better than Quartz can, because the core role of a defender is not dying. The core role of a Crusher is killing an enemy, and if they die, they can't do that. Hoshi Ultra is a Musha plus Arts Defender canonically. She has Tenacity. Yeah, she's really fucking stupid. Hoshi can hit air, Surta can't. Yeah, finally the meme of just Surta it. I experimented with Defender Knights. Arts Protectors are disappointing. Yes, even in situations where your only DPSs are other defenders, Arts Protectors still fucking suck, despite being the only source of arts damage. Speaking of archetypes who suck, Duelist Defenders. Does a single person in the audience, literally one person, want to try and look me in the eyes and defend Duelist Defenders? They're defenders who can't block and also can't charge their skills. One block plus cannot regen SP outside of blocking. Yes. So here is how a Duelist Defender works. Their talent is that they only restore SP when blocking enemies. You might think that this is a boost version of SP recovery. No. If they're blocking enemies, they restore the standard amount of SP. And they're balanced around blocking enemies. But they don't. Because they have really high attack and one block. So, before the enemy reaches them, the enemy dies. Unless it's a boss enemy, in which case by the time it reaches them, their skill's not ready, so they die. Defender who can't defend, awesome. Okay, the reason I used Aurora, by the way, Aurora is the best defender duelist. You want to know what her talent is? When she's below 50% SP, she doesn't block. She doesn't attack. The way they fixed this was to make the defender stand there doing literally nothing so that she can regenerate SP. They're even more expensive than Dreadnoughts. Yeah, they cost a lot, they do no damage, and they can't block. Welcome in, Eltic. They do no damage because they never get their skills active. Duelist defenders were done dirty. Yes, they were created to tank bosses. They're amazing stat sticks. What they should have done is made it so that when blocking, they generate shit tons of SP, or had their attack be low with good multipliers. But no, they have high attack. Why do they have high attack? They have higher attack than duelists! They're the only fenders I can use on my 8 archetype account. I got Cement and Aurora first. That is tragic. Duelists have stat level of Juggernaut, but can be healed and block 1, though. Yeah, but that's bad. They, unlike Juggernauts, they don't get to use their skills. It's a liberated defender, but they never liberate. Exactly. Like, Aurora can hit an unbuffed 11,000 damage. She's pretty strong. She's the best duelist defender. But inherently, their kit is anti-defender and anti-duelist. They can't duel any enemy worth their salt because their skills aren't charged in time. They kill every weak enemy too quickly to charge their skills. And they can't block. They wanted to be duelists but got sent to defender school. Unironically, yes. Expensive Dreadnought. Yeah, they're expensive Dreadnoughts who are more tanky and don't get to use their skills. Reason why Eunecta's best skill is S1? Yeah, because it's a passive. Though, in theory, there are 2 fringe use cases for Eunectes. Eunectes, with her S2, with Crownslayer, can infinitely stun any stunnable enemy. And in Reclamation Algorithm, with her module, Eunectes is amazing. I'm going to turn off the chibi, by the way. Apologies, everybody, because it is still really lagging, and that is really bugging me. So hopefully that's just... no, it's still really awful. Holy shit, this is fucking miserable. I need to restart my PC again. What the fuck? I'm so sorry. Yeah, my keyboard is just not working. I did press the button that time. So far, 3-on-3 of bad archetypes, Pioneers, Solists, and Jeweler Blades. I know, right? They made Eunectes have a good S3 for a release period, but she can't use it. I know, it's so fucked up! Okay, thankfully, we're free of the utter dog shit. Next up, we've got a Fortress Defender. When they're not blocking enemies, they have very long range damage. I cast Boogie Woogie on your PC. Now you can teleport if you move fast. Yes, sir. Now, you might be thinking Horn is a really good DPS, so surely they're good. No. These are defenders who trade tankiness for DPS. They are not as good of DPSs as guards. They are okay to bad. They have an all-around pretty solid stat spread, but when you're using a defender, your goal is not, I want to kill an enemy from afar. That's what a sniper's for. Fire Whistle is okay. Yeah, Fire Whistle is okay. Horn is good. Except Horn, yeah, but like, try out Ashlock's damage and get back to me. Fire Whistle has arts damage, and it makes her okay. Seaborn Egg Killer, yes, they have a unique niche with certain long-range shit. But they kind of got power crept by Fiametta. Which, by the way, why is Fiametta not her own archetype? She has 5 range. Next archetype is Spread Shooter, didn't make the list. No, that's in the snipers. Fire Whistle is hot, yes she is. An archetype that has DPS as a tank class with only 1 good 6-star and 1 decent 5-star. To be fair, there's only 3 of them, so that's a good average. But overall, the archetype is bad, it's just there's good units. I would put them in the bad category. Not as bad as Juggernauts, I would put them at the top of bad. Because ultimately, they have good stats, but nowhere near as good stats as Ritualist guards. So they don't fulfill their main job, which is being a defender. They sacrifice that to be mediocre DPSs. So they're a halfway point between a guard and a defender, but they lean towards the defense. You would prefer them to lead more towards damage. High damage units with low HP who can temporarily block 3 would be an interesting strength and weakness. Instead, they don't really have a strength, because they're still designed to block enemies, and if they block, their extra range is disabled. Why is Fang representing the Pioneers? Because she is John Pioneer Vanguard. It's a ground sniper? Yes, it's a ground sniper, but in every situation, snipers are better. For most players. For most. She's my second go-to defender other than Hoshi. Yeah, Fire Whistle is pretty solid, but she's nowhere near as... as a whole, the archetype is not very tanky, and they're a defender. That's the problem. That's why it's a problem. With guards, the reason Gracebearer is fine, even though she sucks at her class job, at her archetype job, is she's good at her class's job. This is the inverse. Fortress defenders are good at their archetype's job, which is doing damage from afar, but they're bad as defenders. If this was an archetype of guard, and it leaned more into damage, it would be excellent. They also lose their AoE when blocking, so they keep blocking. Exactly. They have a very definitive weakness. Once they block an enemy, they're not going to free themselves. But outside of that, like, it would be really cool if they had 0 block or something like that. They just shouldn't be defenders, realistically. Mystic casters are going to be awful. Let's be real, Knight. Yes. Look, please sleep well, Anna. Thanks for coming by. Hello, South. Welcome in, Knight. Lovely to have you. I like Fire Whistle. I like Horn, but they're good despite their class, not really because of it. Now, Sentry Protectors. Sentry Protectors. Here is what they do. Block 3 enemies and attack from a long range. That's it. So, what they do is they trade being a normal protector for slightly longer range. So, really stop and think about that. They are normal defenders who trade some of their defensive stats to be able to attack from a bit further. Invis Reveal? No, that is a module. That is not the archetype. That is a module. Not all of them will get that. Their actual archetype, the fact that they needed to give them invisibility reveal because the archetype sucked, says all you need to know. Ground snipers with 3 block, yes, but their damage sucks. They can hit air, they can. But realistically, even at launch, their damage wasn't really worth it. They're defenders who specialize into damage, even though they're more defenders than Fortress defenders were. I return south, welcome back! Now, there are exceptions. Jessica Alta is amazing. In fact, both of the 6 stars so far are amazing. Nixa Parado, amazing DPS. But that is just their multipliers rather than the archetype itself. Holy shit, sorry, my model is fucking pissing me off. Why are both Lapland archetypes S tier? We'll get to that. And actually, no, not both of them. You forgot Deadeye? Apparently I missed some snipers. I'm stupid. So basically, it honestly feels like when they were introducing archetypes, they felt like, oh, Liskarm needs to be a separate archetype. Realistically, they're just normal defenders who trade a tiny bit of defense for a little bit of attack, but they're still basically as tanky. There's not a massive gap like there is with Fortress defenders, where they're drastically less tanky than their compatriots. They're still generally quite tanky. They just spec slightly into damage. They're still primarily defenders with some damage, rather than trying to be damage dealers who are instead limited to being defenders. Welcome in, Noah! I guess only having one crazy unit in an archetype doesn't count. No, we're rating the archetypes as a whole. As an example, Ulpianus. He is good because he ignores his archetype, not because he's good from his archetype. Bad as an archetype, budget tank, DPS is a tank without good DPS like a Fortress. Yes, but they specialize more into being tanky than Fortresses. Fortresses die easier because once they start blocking an enemy, they completely lose their niche. Because their niche is AoE damage. Or at least archetype with only 2 decent operators. Yeah, but that's pretty impressive. Mixa Parado has an amazing design. I only wish to use a minigun. He's using a pistol. Yeah, I would prefer him with a minigun. Also, welcome in, Blackbow. But no, realistically, it's just... they managed to find an okay mix where they're actually fairly tanky and do good damage, rather than only really being able to do one like Fortresses do. Lemon literally is a built-in talent to counter her subclass. Yes, exactly. Lemuen is an example of good unit, bad archetype. In my opinion, Sentry Protectors are basically just normal protectors. They're slightly worse at it, but not by that much. Fortress on-skill deals AoE though, yes, but not if they're blocking. It depends unit to unit. Where's Lemon? I may have missed some sniper archetypes because I am stupid. I will be adding those, and people can decide which one. Next up, Primal Protectors. Can anybody name me the Primal Protectors other than you? Anybody? Single person? No? Didn't think so. Filet? Okay, who's the other one? There are 3. Who's the third one? Who's the third one? That's what I thought. Read chat. You mean everyone's saying filet? Yeah. There isn't a third one? Yeah, there is. There is a third one. Can. She comes out soon on CN, and she is so non-impactful, no one has ever fucking heard of her. The third isn't on global? No, it's not on global yet, but usually people can name the upcoming characters. The archetype as a whole is atrociously fucking terrible. It is just you. Hydrate? Yes, sir. Okay, let me put it this way. If you was not a Sway sibling, do you think he would be good? No, right? Me? Yeah, wow, glad two of you tried that joke. Filet's actually good, she's okay. This is just... The problem is they're defenders who specialize in true damage. If you want true damage, you use a DPS. Realist... here is, by the way, for anyone curious, here is what their trait is. Blocks 3 enemies and inflicts elemental injury. That's it. Every single archetype who inflicts elemental injury, except for ritualists, sucks. They're really bad at it. And they're decently squishy. In my opinion, they are the exact same as sentry protectors, where they're just normal-ass defenders who do something weird kind of okay. Joke's so overused, your viewers typing it like it's me. It is funny. It is very funny, I don't mind. I'm gonna be honest, I couldn't name most 5 stars before they're released. No, you're absolutely fine, but a lot of people can. You is carried by his enemy displacements and stats anyway. Yes. They have fine stats, much like sentry protectors. They do their core job as a defender, but they're just okay. They are made or broken by their kits, they're just functional. Same as Fang. They're not inherently bad, they're not inherently good, they're just fine. Why are Arts defenders so long? They still block 3 and have decent defense. The problem is they specialize in damage, and they have a lot worse defense than the other archetypes. Fortress defenders are tankier than Arts defenders. Sentries are tankier than Arts defenders. So they trade off the most stats for very bad damage. That's why. Like, they're still good by virtue of having 3 block, but they really suffer. They really lose a lot of stats. Elemental mechanic confuses me. Elemental damage, elemental burst, elemental injury. What do they all mean? Yeah, they should have changed the naming scheme. They generally have some defense against elemental injuries. I don't believe so. Fortress defenders should be high. They're fun. I do think they're fun. And so far, all of our fortress defenders are good. But ultimately, they're trading tankiness for damage. And they're not good enough at damage to justify it. Like, basically, all of the defender archetypes are functional. There aren't really any standout defender archetypes. There's only ones that are okay and ones that suck. There are standout units who happen to be defenders, but none of the archetypes specifically are, oh my god, that's super amazing, outside of healers. Welcome in, Eco! How's your day going? Filet's pretty nice to use? Yeah, Filet is pretty solid. Ken as an operator is useless, she's just a DPS, not a protector. That's the problem, they have too low stats. Guardians S tier. Guardians are the exception, because that is just a defender who is also a medic. They're just both! They decided, you know what, why would I choose one or the other when I can just be both? Injury means the bar, damage means the actual damage. Oh, yeah, I know how it works. It's just still silly. It's still very, very silly is all. Noircorn represents protectors. Yeah, he's the basic bitch defender, so I put him in charge of the basic bitch defenders. Yours, like, they put everything in him. Skill 2 makes him block more and passive can heal everything. Yours specifically is overloaded like crazy. I call it build-up damage. That's fair. Next up, we have snipers. Now, I might have missed a few. It's too hot today. It really is. I have such a headache from the heat. I have missed a few, so I will be getting to them as we reach them. My apologies. I had a stroke and skipped Deadeye, Heavy Shooter, and Spread Shooter. I have been headachy all day from the heat. That is all I've got for you. Marksman attacks aerial enemies first. Back in the day when the game came out, this was fantastic. There were relevant enemies who fly, and you want to prioritize. What about Skybreakers? No, they're not in EN yet, so Skybreakers and Mercenaries I skipped on purpose. Also, welcome in, Kevin. Look, thanks for coming, Tuna. I think if when we get Nervous Impairment PPD, they'll be good. The status synergizes, I would agree. Now, these days, they are just John Sniper. It's not that they're bad, it's just like, they're fine. Aerial priority is no longer an issue. You no longer give a shit. They're just perfectly functional snipers. In the same way that Pioneer Vanguards are just perfectly functional. They're bad, they have like no attack. Yeah, but they're ranged DPSs. They need lower attack to balance them compared to guards because they're much safer and will basically never die. And a lot of them do very good damage. They are good at killing lots of enemies. They attack quickly, they hit hard. If anything, the thing that power crept them was Trap Keepers, the specialists. Def this day too much for marksman. I do agree with that. The problem is that they're a very good marksman. The problem is that all of the 5 and 6 star marksmen still do pretty respectable damage. Like, when you really stop and think about it, they've been hit kind of hard by power creep, but nowhere near as bad as, like, brawlers have. We rarely get enough drones that a random ranged unit can't deal with it. Exactly. So they've kind of lost their niche, but they're still just perfectly fine. They're just average snipers. They're made or broken by their skills. Their archetype is just they'll prioritize drones if they're there. They have decent stat spreads. Like, they've been hit slightly over the years, nowhere near as bad as brawlers. Ash doing respectable damage? Yes, she does, if the enemy is not stun immune. Who is the best? Probably Archeto, right? With the IS module, yes. Outside of that, Eku. Pretty mid overall. Yeah, they're exactly mid. They're just John Sniper. I never understood why Thorn's ult doesn't hit air with this S2. That would be very goofy. I doubt though, since Marksman, best Marksman is Cruise Ulta. No, Eku still holds up. We gotta show respect to John Sniper. They are just John Sniper. They're just the default. If you want a sniper and you don't want any frills, that's who you go to. Next up, artillerymen. So, what artillerymen do is their hits deal AoE physical damage. So, they are Pepe types who don't suck quite as bad, but they still really suck. That would be so real. They have really long range, and they hit okay, but they attack so slowly. It's been 2,000 years since the last artilleryman. The last artilleryman was GU, who was pretty solid. I still use W. I use W in Fear Meta. Fear Meta definitely feels separate, though. Spread Shooter and Deadeye Doco. I forgot 3. I'll be getting them, don't worry. W needed to be a Trap Master. She does. So, realistically, they are less affected by enemy defense because they hit hard. But their DPS has always been lower, and now that's a much bigger issue. I would say, as a whole, they're a bad archetype. Like, AoE physical damage is in theory good, and it's got a defined use case, but their stat spreads do not reflect this, because their stat spreads are balanced around year 1. So much like Dreadnought, they've really, really been hit hard by being a launch archetype. AoE damage is pretty solid, but after, they weren't really reworked between the change from beta, so same as splash casters. You just don't really need AoE damage from melee units these days. You never really have. Units like La Pluma are good, because they will funnel enemies themselves by having block. Hydrate? Yes, sir. Shirayuki, best AoE caster. Basic. No, Aya is. These days, Logos, though. Hard hitter, but attack speed is too low. Yeah, their attack speed is way too low. So they're an AoE DPS who doesn't really do AoE DPS because enemies are too spread out. Realistically, it's the game design that's holding them back. In theory, they're a very solid, maybe even great archetype. In practice, they're not. In practice, it always feels bad to use them. Can't even say it's good when I started out from the fact that very hard putting down Meteorite. Yeah, exactly. They cost a lot, and they just do not perform up to the standard you'd expect. Wife is the best archetype. So based, Little John. Now, I definitely did not forget any sniper archetypes here. So let's just hypothetically, let me just sorry, everybody. Whoa, my thighs be upon you. My thighs be upon you. You can't see anything. You're not focusing on anything. Look at that. Look at my amazing thighs. and how laggy my model is today. I'm so sorry for this. Where is Lemoen? If I was named Lemoen, where would I be outside of in a wheelchair? There we go. Okay, so as you can see, I very intentionally brought Lemoen. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Lemoen is indeed here. Wow, even the music is broken. Holy shit, it is really struggling day. I love frames measured with a calendar. I don't know why my PC's having a stroke. I'm so sorry. Let me just turn off everything I can. Yeah, it's I'm sorry. I'll restart my PC after today's stream. I don't mind if you want to do a quick restart. I'll need to quickly restart my PC. That would be a big issue. Where's the OG Fartooth? Look, she doesn't hold up these days. Wait, archetype-wise, Centurion Guards are going to be top? No. Centurions are not going to be top. They have been massively held off. Heavy shooters, we'll get to heavy shooters, don't worry. I am aware we accidentally skipped 3 archetypes. Deadeyes, heavy shooters, and spread shooters. I am big idiot. Haha, everybody point and laugh. Get it out of your system. There, are you satisfied? Now, moving on. We have Deadeye snipers. Here is what their trait does. Prioritizes attacking the enemy with the lowest defense. The problem with this is that they spec into attack and low attack speed. This talent would be amazing on a fast-hitting, relatively low attack enemy. As it stands, it's fucking terrible. It's so fucking bad. They ignore the dangerous enemies they're designed to kill with their high attack stat, and they can't one-shot weaker enemies. There's no problem with Deadeyes. They're perfect as is and need no changes. They must go to excellent. Anything else is slander. You're saying that because it's specifically Lemoen. Deadeyes are the real snipers in the game? Yes. It's actively harmful trait? Yes. Basically, unironically, as crazy as this sounds, they needed higher attack. They either needed higher attack or higher attack speed. As it stands, they have the worst of both worlds where they don't one-shot any of the squishy enemies, and as a result, can't ever hit any of the tanky ones, unless, like Lemoen, they just have part of their talent which ignores their fucking trait. So they go in the bottom of the pile. Actually, I would put them above Quartz. I would put them above Instructors, to be fair. I don't know if I'd put... Actually, would I put them above Brawlers? No. They only surprise you when you fuck up and let someone slip. Exactly. Arcanines be ignoring operator traits to make top tiers. That is their go-to. that is how they make bad archetypes good. They just ignore the entire trait, the entire premise. So, unfortunately, as much as I like them, they're quite bad. I used Ambriel. She hits slugs so much that she is unusable in slug stages. Yeah! They target lowest defense, so they do nothing. It is a direct negative for them. Only thing I'd play Deadeye is global range skills. Yes, but that is not their trait. That is individual units who happen to have global range. Related note, moving on to heavy shooters. Yuma, once again, let me hypnotize you with my thighs. Everybody stare into the thighs. You can't... Oh my god, it didn't even fucking register the press. Are you... Holy shit, my PC! I am so sorry, everybody. My computer was working fine until I started streaming. So, yeah, moving on, we've got heavy shooters, also known as Schwartz. Specifically Schwartz. Here is what they do. Here is their talent. Here is their talent. How about I just disable my VTuber model for today? How about that? Unironically, this will piss me off less. Unironically, this pisses me off less, just having me not be visible, and then I can just be talking to everybody. What do you reckon? Would you prefer that? South, what is your task manager saying? My task manager is saying it's fine. It's just having a stroke. You're gone. I disappeared. Probably best, sadly. Unfortunately so. South Doco. Maybe I can just put up a PNG or something. Actually, one second. Yeah, let me put up a PNG real quick. Put a South plushie on the corner for a placeholder. I don't have the art of the South plushie yet. Unfortunately. So, wait, hang on. I have a cunning plan. I have a cunning, definitive plan. Trust the process. Maybe just put a PNG. Exactly. Don't worry. I got this. Here we go. Oh, wait, no, that's not gonna work. Oh, wow. Me, I'm big dumb. Me, I'm big dumb. You know what? It's fine. Nice slideshow, South. How about this? There you go. Hello, everybody. It's me, Markiplier, and welcome back to Five Nights at Freddy's. I can't help but see that you put arts cards into awful. That must be a misinput. No, it's not, unfortunately. Why is South not prego? Why would she be? I just like Task Manager say I'm fine when I'm having an aneurysm. So true, bestie. But yeah, apologies. I don't know what's causing that. It is driving me up the wall. Okay, so, Schwartz. Mark got turned into a girl? Yes. Schwartz and Pazemka are good. But this is not because of their archetype. I will say, their archetype is not terrible. Their trait description is high accuracy point blank shot. Which, by the way, is just utterly meaningless. Sorry, I'm going to try to reopen VTube Studio. Let me just see if it'll actually work now. You never know, it might actually work. Maybe. Maybe if I'm really lucky. If I'm insanely lucky. But no. So, heavy shooters, in theory, are kind of good. They specialize into DPS alpha strikes. They are just a version of, Deadeyes, which doesn't suck. They're a version of Deadeye snipers which functions. However, they do not have long range, they have range restrictions, and it makes them very awkward to use. In my opinion, they are still the best sniper archetype so hard. They have physical damage, and they specialize at dealing slow, heavy hits. Shoot fast and point blank? Yeah, exactly. And arguably shoot slow, but they specialize in heavy hits. They have high attack more than attack speed. Compared to spread shooter? Yeah, basically. Holy shit, VTube Studio is having a stroke. Okay, no, 0% chance. Yep, apologies everybody. My PC just needs a restart. Oh my fucking god, that's worse! Okay, we're just doing this without. Apologies. An archetype that's very basic and okay. Snipers that hit hard with a range debuff in exchange. Exactly. Open Task Manager, then processes, then end a random process and tell your computer that the exceptions will continue until Morel approves. No, I'd end System 32 like a dumbass. What is your RAM, CPU, and GPU at? They're all fine. They're all absolutely fine. Wait, 07? Am I still streaming? Did I crash? Welcome in AVGS. Good for armor, bad for dust commit? Yes. I would say that these are absolutely fine. I would put them at the top of okay. 07, just to check, am I still streaming? You're good right now? Okay. Let me just look. No one's watching on Kick anyway, right? Let me just check that real quick. Because if so, I can just end that. Maybe, yeah, no. Literally 0 people are watching on Kick. So let me just end Kick. Maybe that'll make it run slightly better. Unplug and plug your PC in backwork. I can't just do that. Also, welcome in, Shangri-La. You're still here? Good. What the fuck is Kick? Don't worry about it. Your streaming is a disembodied voice? Exactly. Yes, but laggy? Yeah. I mean, look. We're halfway through. Would people want me to theoretically continue this next week when I'm not lagging my ass off? Or the week after? Oh, are we basing the tiers off the strength of the overall archetype? Yes. We're basing it off of the archetype trait and about the archetype. For example, Ulpianus is really good, but he is not a crusher guard. To make a good crusher, they had to make them ignore the crusher. Stalkers, the accident was 7 years ago. You need to move on. This is fine. Let's keep going. Look, let me do a quick poll, because this is infuriating me. This is actually pissing me off. Keep going or two-parter. Let's get a poll. Keep going, two-parter. I'm so sorry. I have no idea why my PC is having a stroke. This is fucking pissing me off. I'm so sorry. You should tend to your computer. It's been fine up until now. But no, vote however you would like. Vote genuinely. Let's get a genuine feedback. Time to 50-50 again. No, this one's important. Why not take a break and reset? My PC won't turn back on in time. It is what it is. I'll vote two-parter because that's what you want, South. I will say, it does annoy me to have scuff. I'm so sorry. I was South laggy much today. Yeah, apologies, Gavin. I might be ending this one early and splitting it up into a two-part. Can't you restart then stream again? No, not really, unfortunately. Look, thanks for coming, Blanked. Lovely to have you. Well, I'm glad I did the giveaway right away. Okay, yeah, that is almost unanimous. You can vote multiple times with pipe bombs. Why the fuck? Why can you do that? Wait, surely not. Oh my god, looks like you can. Okay, okay. I will save this tier list. We will do it next time. Thank you all so much for coming. I'm sorry for the abrupt end and my PC issues. I have no idea what the fuck is going on. If you enjoyed this tier list, please like the stream on YouTube despite the poor quality to make me feel better. It would mean a lot to me. I'm very sorry. Okay, thank you all so much. I hope you have a lovely rest of your day. And I will catch you next time. Oh, no, thank you, Celine. That's very sweet. Keep Going is making a comeback. Yes, because it's rigged. There's not actually 300 of you here voting. Thanks for coming, Hackius. And no, thank you so much for coming, everybody. Have a lovely rest of your day. I'm so sorry for the scuff. And I will catch you next week. Bye-bye, everybody. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.